Right, so the level design that we got, well, the group that we're in is for the future world, and obviously because we haven't got as much as some other groups might have, because obviously the whole concept of the future is a much bigger area and it can literally consist of anything you wanted. So it took us quite a while to narrow down the idea that we wanted to do, and we ended up with an underwater facility that has been abandoned. So the idea of it is that your character's gone to explore it. So it's not entirely like, it's sort of like a small mystery adventure game. We made the art style sort of like not entirely realistic, but slightly less realistic and a tiny bit more cartoonish, just to like take the edge off things as well, because obviously with an underwater mystery it might be a bit too, you know, like edgy, so we kind of just did that to take it off a bit. The basic idea of it is that because it's completely flooded after it's been abandoned, you have to go through a lot of different puzzles and stuff to effectively drain the next area of the facility so you can actually proceed to the next area. For the story ways, we haven't really linked it back to the hub and that yet, but we can do it pretty soon. We came up with quite a few different puzzle mechanics as well, like you could have to move stuff around, like you could have sort of like wooden boxes and glass objects, and because it's underwater there's a lot of water pressure as well. So say if you're moving a glass object around, if you take it too deep underwater it'll just shatter because of the water pressure. Because it's obviously abandoned and it's a future facility, it'd run off some kind of electrical power source. So because it's been abandoned, we thought the idea of you could use something, make it more fun, you could use an electric eel as a power source by just like trying to chase it and like switch it into this little area where it'll just like power a lot of machinery or something. It's not realistic, but you know, it's future world, so. Obviously because it's underwater, we thought about it being able to swim, but nobody really knows how to like work that with the character coding and engine and that, so we just thought if we just have sort of like moon jumping in it instead of swimming, we can just have the character being in a heavy suit so they can withstand the pressure and have oxygen with them, which would weigh them down, so instead of swimming constantly, just like a jump instead. But we made a few concepts. We got a few drawings, obviously, because we've got over in here, this bottom left corner, there's a bit of scientific machinery and a few little inside concepts of the area. Then on the other side we've got a trio of white boxes. I made those, I'm not very proud of them, but the idea for this bottom one was that it's just a basic facility, so just going with a basic box cube shape makes sense. Then Sky came up with the idea, I think it was Sky, maybe with some other people as well, came up with the idea of this spherical sort of thing, like a reverse aquarium sort of thing, where it's all like glass, but I thought it could work, but obviously with water pressure it wouldn't work very well, but future world, so could just have some like super titanium steel level glass sort of thing. And I went with design for that, and then I decided to combine the two into one concept for the white box, and depending on what the team feedback gets, we'll find out where we go from there. And that's all we've got so far.
Thank you. Okay, any questions, Matthew?
Were you inspired by Bioshock in any way?
We did look a bit into Bioshock. I know I did a bit, but it's similar, but it's obviously, we've got the idea of having some areas filled with glass and like the tubular connectors between buildings from that.
So what is the
Go ahead.
goal for making the level and what you're working towards?
We're not entirely sure because obviously we've had a lot of work on that. We focused quite a bit on the puzzle mechanics first as well because we thought that would be one of the harder parts. And so basically the basic idea that we've got is just that you've been sent down to investigate what's happened and why it's become abandoned. And then obviously as you go through you figure it out and stuff. You pick up like, I don't know, notes or something off the floor. Or like get some computer terminals going.
Is there any antagonists or like enemies for them?
Nah, it's more like it focuses more on like the puzzle
Like
and
the
the
environments,
mystery.
the enemies,
Yeah,
stuff.
and it's like you could just put a little bit of a maze in there as well and just have like directions in through that as well instead. Make it more of a puzzle that way. Gary?
I think you mentioning the word puzzle a lot, but I'm kind of left a little bit confused as to what the puzzles are actually going to be. Like, what's going to be like the fun factor about this game? Like, what are the puzzle elements going to actually be?
Well, we thought about doing a mix between the standard puzzles, like just general connecting and like turning levers sort of a thing, and then also sort of like the Portal style of having to like find the box moving about and like putting it on something to activate something else.
Right, so quite physics-based stuff then.
Yeah,
What
but
do you
then
mean
also
by-
some like more traditional ones that are like mini game concepts as well.
Right, alright. Well, thank you.
Any more?
Right, can I just ask, you're in the future world, but what period in time are we? How far in the future are we?
Well, I'm not entirely sure the exact time, but far enough to maintain a decent underwater facility that makes it rather common.
Because obviously you would normally have a little bit of backstory explaining where we are in the world. Obviously you just said someone's going to be going down there to investigate what's happened, why it's abandoned, but I can't get my head around. I need to know a period in time to know why are we at this stage in the world as what happened to be where we are now.
Well, we haven't really thought about that, to be honest. We didn't think
And
about it.
I think it's like far enough into the future that we've like started colonizing other planets. Cause I don't think we want to set this game on Earth.
Yeah.
So I think it might be like I don't know, about a couple of 100,000 years maybe. Well, not 100,000. I mean 112,000.
Okay.
What about
If
your
you're not
art style?
sure, you could put X's where the numbers could be and let the audience determine what it could
Yeah, you
be.
could just, instead of having set information, just have it broken down because of water damage or something.
From that, you could possibly do logs that you find and tell you the story of it.
Like I said, pretty realistic, but not like entirely. Just like we'll get like images and then like tone them down so it's not as edgy.
Choose like a film or photo.
Yeah, so it's like lower audiences can still enjoy it and stuff. So it's good. We thought about doing like a
Quiet
12
please.
rating.
Curtis.
Have you got any idea of how you want it to be linked to the hub?
Yeah, we haven't thought about that yet. We've just got ideas of just generally of what the level itself was going to be first, because it took quite a while to narrow it down to underwater at first anyway. But it shouldn't take too long once we've already, now obviously because of this we've already got an even more defined story for the actual thing, and once we've finished that off then we can make an easiest way to link it to the hub and back.
Any more questions? Is that it? Okay, thank you. Well done.